This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
And welcome back. We are happy to be with you on a Friday afternoon. We mentioned the other day when Michael Collins dropped by that we are, I wouldn't say down the street, but not too far from where the Wells Fargo Championship is being conducted, not too far from our studio. So we've had a little bit of a golf tint this week. Keith Mitchell is in our studio. He is a University of Georgia golfer who is well steeped in SEC lore, having a pretty good tournament so far. Keith, thanks for being here.
Paul, thanks for having me on, man. This is awesome.
I guess when you know you're playing the weekend, you can relax a little bit on Friday afternoon and hang out with your favorite talk show. It's good to have you on. You were telling me before we got going, and we want to talk a little golf and a little dogs, but you've got a family that pretty well covers the SEC.
It was pretty funny growing up trying to figure out which team I wanted to root for. So, one granddad went to Alabama, one granddad went to Tennessee, and then my dad went to Vanderbilt, and my mom went to Tennessee. So I kind of paved my own path and went a little south to the University of Georgia, and since then I've been a diehard dog. And
we're going to get to that in a second, but I want to talk a little about golf because you were fairly recent on tour. You got out of Georgia a couple of years ago, and I want to talk about the challenge of getting to this tour where you play in events like this and so many other major for such major prizes. It's not easy.
It's not even close to easy, but it's fun. So that's what makes the challenge and the hard work worth it. So, I mean, I started out on the Latin American tour for a year. Right out of college, I played probably 17, 18 weeks down in South America, which was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of stuff that you would it's just not part of your standard routine. So I did that for a year. I graduated from there to the Web.com tour and was on the Web.com tour for 2 years, and then made it out here this past season.
When you finally, I don't mean finally, because you can spend your whole career and not get out here. I mean, I know there's a sense of relief, but but it's not one of ever feeling comfortable, is it? Because it can change pretty quickly.
Well, it's you have to earn your card pretty much every year unless you won, and even if you win, it only gives you your card for an extra season.
Right.
So, and this is the top level of our sport. It's like the Major League in baseball or the NBA in basketball. You can only go down from here. So every year is a challenge to try to just not only keep your card, but better your status for the years to come. So, I mean, there's guys out there like Davis Love and Vijay Singh who have played for 25 plus years, and those are the careers that you strive to achieve. So just being a rookie out here, I mean, I'm thinking about next season, which leads to the next, and hopefully down the road even longer.
You've had, as I mentioned, a good week. You were certainly on the leaderboard. Didn't end great, but as we're looking at your card from today, acting like we're on the Golf Channel, I would say after that birdie on 17, you were feeling really good. You went to 18, which I did not see what happened, although I've been out there. There's a lot of water on that hole. I'm guessing you found it.
We can erase that 7. I don't know if you have an eraser on your pencil, but no, actually, when I birdied 17, I think I was in the solo lead, and it was one of the best shots I hit all day. And I actually made bogey on 18 yesterday because I hit it in the water, and I was standing on that tee. I changed clubs, trying to play it a little bit differently, and that didn't work either. So I'm not really sure what we're going to do tomorrow, but we're going to try to make better than a 5 or a 7.
And I know it's disappointing, but on the other hand, I mean, you're in the tournament. You've had a good week. You can't let a bad shot affect you. You seem like you're still in a pretty good mood.
That's the one thing that's tough about golf, but then when you get to do, just things like this, and the tournament at the Wells Fargo is unbelievable. There's great crowds. The golf course is unbelievable, and just be able to play the weekend means that's step 1, and then playing well on the weekend and move up the leaderboard step 2. So we accomplished step 1, and unfortunately with a little stumble at the end, but we're still in good shape. So
everyone out there who plays golf can certainly relate to finishing a good round. Well, I don't know what it's like to finish a good round badly, but I know what it's like to finish a round badly. I know in looking back over your career, I mean, you've had some very interesting moments, especially trying to get out here. Let's go back to one or two of them, because, I mean, you were this close to making it out here in it didn't happen.
That was pretty tough. That was in Portland. It was the last Web.com tour event of this entire season. I was in the last group, and it was the last hole, and it was the last shot. I mean, it could not have been written up any differently that it came down to the last shot I hit all season to make it to the PGA Tour or not. And long story short, I thought I had to make eagle in the last hole to guarantee my card, just the way the money worked out and the ties and all these different formulas, where in actuality I only needed to make birdie.
Right.
So I missed the putt, not knowing that was to go, which was unfortunate because I'm not saying if I knew I would have made it. It almost made it a little bit easier to cope with it because I didn't feel like I let myself down or I got this close and I failed. It was more of like a revenge kind of attitude that I had the next week, and ended up playing some of my best golf of my life. I knew I was playing great that week, so I just tried to forget about it and carry on the next week, and I played great and finished sixth. And
you've had some really nice finishes. I want to talk a little bit about your intersection with Georgia. I know you were this past Monday night in Athens for the ceremony honoring Billy Payne, certainly one of the most prominent names in all of golf, let alone the University of Georgia. You were at the championship, the SEC championship game, or the championship game?
I was at the SEC championship game.
And the Rose Bowl.
And the Rose Bowl.
So you're obviously a pretty serious fan.
I would go to every game if I could. Our schedule's a little tough to do that. But yes, I was. I mean, I'm a diehard Georgia fan. I wish I was able to do more stuff, but every chance I get, I'm there.
And I know because we've spoken to a number of other golfers and we're going to talk to Jason Dufner. We've talked to him before. We had Billy Horschel on the other day. That those of you who have played in the SEC have a pretty good rivalry going, or I'm not sure how to describe it on a family television network, but you guys give each other a pretty hard time, don't you? Especially
during the fall. It's a little bit low key this time of year. But I mean, after signing day, we were definitely giving them some grief because I mean Georgia just absolutely dominated the recruiting season this year. So it was that was our spring little needle in them.
Okay, we know you can play golf, but we want to find out whether you can prognosticate like everyone who calls on this show. So we're going to look at the Georgia football schedule here. This is Keith Mitchell prognosticating the Georgia football schedule. We're not going to spend a lot of time on some of these games. Austin Peay, I'll just move past. At South Carolina, that is a challenging game for the Dogs.
I don't like it being that early in the season. Last year we had a advantage pushing it back, but I don't see how Will Muschamp can keep up with us. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that out loud.
Ooh, I like this trash talking.
But
this close to the South Carolina border, just 3 miles away. We'll skip Middle Tennessee at Missouri. Drew Lock, one of the better quarterbacks, coming back in the SEC.
Maybe if they had Chase Daniels back, or some players that I think Jeremy Maclin. Didn't Jeremy Maclin play at Missouri? If they had those two guys, they might have. But now we're going to beat them too.
Yeah, I don't want to remind you of the last time the Vols came to Athens. It ended on a Hail Mary by Josh Dobbs.
Should I remind you the last time we were in Knoxville?
No, I was actually there. I remember it well, and I said goodbye to Butch Jones that day, a little earlier than some people. Okay, so we're going to move past Tennessee and Vanderbilt just for the sake of time.
Okay.
October 13th at LSU, tough game.
That's going to be interesting. I can't remember the last time we played LSU. It might have been in Athens. And it was a close game.
I think it was a really good game.
And that was a lot of fun. But I mean, LSU, I've never been to Tiger Stadium, but I've heard it's a death trap. So that's a tough one.
Win or loss?
As a Georgia fan, I'm going to say win, but I want to say tie.
We're going to go with a win because we got two Dogs ready to Jacksonville, Florida.
We're going to beat Florida. They don't have the depth. They don't have anything right now. They're lost. So
I like this. Can you come back on Monday? We're going to go to the Auburn game. Auburn, we all know what happened this past year at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That was a rough game.
They're a good team. They're coached well, and they have a lot of athletes. So I think that and LSU are going to be the two games that decide our season.
So you're saying you're going to run the table because we know you're going to pick Georgia against Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to run the table.
Going into Atlanta, SEC championship game, presumably against Alabama.
I mean, I feel like I can't say we're going to win every game, but we almost did last season, and we're going to be better than we were last season. We have everybody returning.
13-0.
So 13-0.
Keith Mitchell,
you heard it here first.
The Dogs to go to the college football playoff and win the SEC. Listen, I like one thing about you versus a couple of Georgia fans I see on hold is that you at least have a realistic approach to it. You're not just absolute. You realize that there are good teams out there. Maybe because you're a professional
I just said
athlete.
we were going 13-0. That's not very realistic, is it?
Well, but you didn't. You took your time to get there. Okay. You didn't just race down the road. So there we have it. Tomorrow and Sunday, you feel pretty good about the weekend here?
I do. The weather looks decent. It looks pretty good. It's been great already. The wind really makes that golf course tough. So if the wind blows, it's anybody's tournament. Anybody's tournament. I don't care if you're 2 over, 3 over. If you have 2 good rounds and the wind blows, you're going to move right up to the leaderboard.
So you're here for the weekend, and we appreciate it. We hope you'll come back.
Thank you.
This was really a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Keith Mitchell, our new prognosticator on the show. Great to see you.
Thanks, Paul.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Welcome you back here, and delighted to welcome to our studio for the first time Jason Dufner. We've had him on before, and it is so good to see you, the former PGA champ. You're defending at Memorial in a couple of weeks, and you're doing pretty well at the Wells. How's it going?
Having a good week here. Enjoy coming on the show, listen to you occasionally when I'm in the car, cruising around. So it'll be fun. We'll have a little fun, talk some sports.
We were giving you a little bit of a hard time about your hat, and then everybody's wearing Cavs, but I forgot you're born in Cleveland, so you're at least entitled to it versus the rest of the front runners.
Yeah, my support is fairly legit because I've been through all the rough seasons as a Cleveland sports fan. So it's fun to watch somebody like LeBron, and I'm lucky to have that he's playing for the Cavs now again, and can enjoy him and what they're doing. Obviously, last night was pretty special to watch.
That's incredible. And, of course, Baker Mayfield now a member of the Browns as well.
That's a tough one for me. I quit the Browns about 5 or 6 years ago. So I hope for the city of Cleveland and the fans, I consider it a football town, NFL town. Hopefully they can turn it around with Baker. Obviously, they've been looking for a quarterback. That's such a key component to the success in the NFL. So I'm hoping for the city they can turn it around, but I don't really follow the Browns as much as I used to.
Well, before we get, I think it was about a year ago we talked to you, not long after your foundation tournament, and I know that it was earlier in the week.
We did on Monday.
A lot of big names that came down to Auburn. Talk a little bit about that before we get going.
Yeah, we have the foundation in Auburn, Alabama. So what we do is we feed about 1,300 kids every week on the weekends. And Monday we had our big fundraiser deal. So we had a lot of the guys from the PGA Tour, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, myself, Gary Woodland, some of the former Auburn players like Takeo Spikes and Ronnie Brown and Jason Campbell and Bruce Pearl was there. Come out, support, raise some money, play a little scramble golf event, and that pretty much gets us to where we need to run our programs and do what we do right there in Lee County.
Talking to Jason Dufner, and I remember it was a couple of years ago, we had Coach Malzahn on. He had just come back from the British Open where he had hung out with you as much as you can hang out with somebody competing in the British Open, but your relationship with the school is very close.
Yeah, it's really close. I still live there. Sports are a big part of my life, being a professional athlete, and then also just enjoying sports. So when you live in that college town, you kind of live and breathe what's going on in the different seasons. Coach Malzahn's a big golfer, big golf fan, so it's kind of been that way since he got there. As the offensive coordinator, we stayed in touch a little bit the year he was gone to Arkansas State. I was kind of lobbying, petitioning for him to come back when we were changing. So, we've been close. He went over to the British Open with me a couple of years ago. He doesn't get much time off. He's pretty locked in on that football stuff most of the time. But that was a good experience for him, and he gives me a lot of great experiences because, I love college football. Going to an SEC school, you don't really have a choice not to love it. So to be involved with it a little bit and be behind the ropes a little bit is a lot of fun for me.
And Jason, at the end of our segment, we're going to have you look at the Auburn schedule. Keith Mitchell, the Georgia golfer, was here earlier, and we'll tell you how he picked, but you can imagine he went all Georgia, including the Auburn game. So we'll save that for them. But I do want to talk about your golf career because it's always a cliche to say that winning a major is a life-changing event. The year before you won, you were in a playoff, so you were that close to understanding it. And then the next year, almost 5 years ago in 2013, you won. And to ask you how it changed your life, I guess would be a familiar question, but I would be interested in what impact it had on you and what it still does.
Yeah, I think, all the good things that come with it, the exemptions, the money that comes with it, the endorsements, all those things, I think didn't change me too much. I think the thing that changed most for me is once I accomplished that, and those were things that I wanted to accomplish as a little kid, it was almost an end game for me there for a while. And I was like, well, what's next? I never had these thoughts about I want to be the best golfer in the world, or I want to win X amount of tournaments or every major. My goals were always to do it professionally, to earn income, win on the PGA Tour, and win a major. And once I had accomplished all those things, it was hard for me to kind of sort through and figure out, well, which way does the road go now? And I've struggled with that, still to this day at times about, what is my motivation? How do I keep my focus? What's next for me? Because at a young age, 35, I had accomplished everything that I thought that I could go out to accomplish. So that was the toughest thing for me, and still is, I think, in my career now, is where do I find that motivation? Where do I find the focus? Where do I find the drive to be successful? Because out here the lines are really thin. What determines, winning, losing, making the cut, missing the cut? And all these little things add up, to have that drive and that focus, I think, is what changed the most for me.
And it's extraordinary because you're one of the best golfers in the world. That's obvious. But dealing with the reality of, and I don't know how thin that line is. You can't see it with the naked eye.
No, it's pretty razor thin between good and bad out here.
How do you approach it? Because you win tournaments. You're considered a threat every week, but then you think about the very best that has ever played, and one of them is out there this week. He probably barely making the cut. Do you want to be that? Because it almost seems like you check out on the rest of your life to go after that.
Yeah, I agree. That's another thing I struggle with is golf everything to my life, and I got to figure out, kind of find the balance, so to speak. The better I am at balancing, the better I can play. And like you said, we don't win very often, so you got to be good at losing, which is hard. I always tell a lot of people if you win 2% of the time in golf, you're probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, honestly.
That's amazing.
And that's a really low percentage. And, the other thing is the difference between playing well and playing bad is very small. Like this week, I think I played with a guy that the first 2 days, Gary Woodland. He probably did 92% of the things really well this week for 36 holes. So he did 8% bad, and he's going to miss the cut. So you're looking at a really, really high success rate, pass-fail, to be good. And it's not, you don't have to bat 300, in golf. If you're batting 300, you're going home on Friday every week. I promise you that. In basketball, it's 45% success rate is really, really elite. Football is 80, 90. In golf, it's like 95 plus is elite.
What is you've alluded to some of it, but what is the most challenging thing every day? Some weeks you're off and you can separate it, but when you're in a tournament, you've got this week at Quail, you've got next week at Players. You're starting to get in some big events, Memorial leading up to the U.S. Open.
Right.
Is every week different, or is it the same routine?
The routine you want to keep as consistent as you can, but every week is completely different. Day to day is different on how you feel, how the weather changes. Different variables. We're not playing on the same court or field
No.
every day. Even today we played the same course, but they change tee boxes, they change hole locations, the wind could change, right. The conditions can change. So we play a sport that's played on the biggest field in all of sports. We try to get the smallest ball in all of sports into the smallest target of all of sports.
Really easy.
And it's outside. So it's extremely challenging. It's extremely difficult. Yesterday I had a great day. I felt really good. Today I came out a little slow and it wasn't going as well, and I'm wondering, what's the difference? I'm not really sure, but as a golfer, you kind of got to figure it out, get through it, and live to fight for the weekend. So it's a challenging game. And the other thing is we don't have any teammates. It's a lonely game, right?
No, it is a lonely game. And it's so interesting to hear you talk about that, because I know everyone watching and listening goes, man, to be out there. But I've seen you guys at 5:45 in the morning with lights brought in just so you could get ready for a 7 o'clock tee. There's a lot of money at it, but there's a lot of pressure too. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of great things about playing golf professionally, but there's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of compromise. There's a lot of self-doubt, even in personal life sometimes, that carries over that makes it difficult. But I can tell you, when you're in that competition, if you're a competitive person, and I feel like I am, like last week we finished second in a team event, that competitiveness is the reason why you make those sacrifices and you do the things that you do to try to be elite and play well.
We're going to let you get going in a second. Before you go, we're going to make it easy for you.
We're going to do some football.
We're going to talk about football for just a second. Keith Mitchell was in here. He picked the Dogs to go 13-0. So we're going to go down the schedule. And by the way, this Auburn schedule, I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
It is a bear.
It always is. At least Clemson's off the schedule this year.
But it's not that much better. Washington may not be second in the country, but they're going to be in the top 6. So we're going to start with that game in Atlanta.
I'll take Auburn on that one. We haven't had the best history in Atlanta the last couple games, but
just 2 straight losses.
It is a team from out west that we usually have some pretty success against those guys.
We'll skip ahead the home game against LSU. Auburn should be favored.
Yeah, I'll take Auburn again. I think we can get them, especially after the way things went down last year, and LSU always seems to have some question marks at quarterback.
So I'm going to assume you go Arkansas, Southern Miss. October 6th, a tricky game, even though Auburn has really beaten State badly the last couple of years. That game is in Starkville.
Yeah, a lot of question marks, I think, with Mississippi State, new coach. I was excited to watch Dan Mullen head over to Florida. Maybe that'll make things a little bit easier for us in Starkville, but I'm going to go with us winning the first 6.
Yeah, 6-0 going to the home game against Tennessee. We'll go ahead and chalk that up as a win at Ole Miss.
Yeah, that'll probably be another win. Obviously, they've had some coaching changeover and some problems off the field.
Exactly.
So I'm excited those Mississippi teams might be down a little bit more than they have been. They made it tough in the West.
I'm going to say A&M. Okay, it's going to come down to 2 games here, and you know where I'm going. I don't know where your schedule is, but I bet you're going to try to see these games if humanly possible. Yep. November 10th at Athens.
I'm going to say we're going to split those 2.
Okay.
I'm not going to go either way, but I think we can get one of the 2. Those are both tough games, obviously, to end, so I'm going to go 11-1.
Okay.
Ish.
If you now here's where it gets interesting, though. If you lose to Georgia and beat Alabama, you'll be in Atlanta.
Probably playing Georgia again. so that happens that way all the time.
You
doesn't
can take
it?
your pick.
So I don't know.
We'll go 11-1.
11-1.
You got far more important things to worry about than trying to figure out the Auburn schedule right now. But 11-1 sounds like a good. That is unlike your compatriot Keith Mitchell, who just
blitzed.
He didn't even look at the schedule. He said 13-0 SEC championship,
56-3 every game.
So I mean,
blowout.
You're a realist,
because it works that way in college football.
Jason, I can't thank you enough. A fascinating conversation to get inside what you deal with every week. And we
Thanks
really
for your time.
Appreciate you coming
yes,
up.
Yes, sir.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing. Keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
If you want to give us a ring, you can do so now at 855-242-7285. Let's go back to the calls. And I think we have Bo back. Bo, go right ahead.
Hey, Paul. How you doing today?
Very well. Thank you for the call.
Thank you for letting me get through. Hey, I just wanted to make a point. I'm an Alabama fan, but I'm not your typical obnoxious Alabama fan. But we've been getting a lot of criticism this year about opening with Louisville. Well, I would like to bring up a point that since Nick Saban's been there, every season consistently with the exception of 11 when we opened with Kent State, we have opened with ranked bowl-type teams, like your Michigans, your Wisconsins, Clemson, back when Coach Bowden was there, and spanked all of these teams. I mean, he's undefeated in his openers. And, it's been dog day afternoon, Georgia. Georgia's open with Austin Peay. They got Middle Tennessee in the middle of their schedule. They've got UMass at the end of their schedule. So before we deify Georgia, let's kind of compare schedules and say, hey, theirs isn't that great either.
True, and sometimes you're victimized by your schedule. I mean, I think
right.
2 years from now or next year, one of the years Alabama plays Duke. Some years Duke has a pretty good football team. Some years they don't. Louisville would have been a great opener last year, year before, and maybe the year before that. We all thought Florida State was going to be a great opener last year. So you don't know, but you're right. Saban has always played anyone that comes along. Georgia did it last year. That in the second week of the season, they did play Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
Sir.
That was pretty significant. Thank you for the call. I do appreciate it. Greg is in Columbia. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hello?
Go right ahead, Greg. You're on the air.
Yeah, I got a statement there about all this Georgia stuff. Their season's going to be over week 2.
You think so?
Yes. South Carolina will beat them.
Reason being?
They exceeded the expectations last year. Deebo Samuel will be back. Bentley will be way better than he's been. Georgia's lost Michelle and Chubb. And Muschamp's defense, always on point.
Those are good reasons.
And also, we lost Hayden Hurst, but you got Crosby coming back. Yeah, we're good.
Good. I just marked that down as a win for the good dogs. You with me, Randy? Yes. Good. Brandon is up next. What do you say, Brandon?
Hey, what's going on, Paul? How you doing today?
All good. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome. Is it mint juleps this weekend for you or margaritas?
I think I'll go mint juleps tomorrow in honor of the Derby. Now, in the morning, I'll be drinking margaritas in honor of Cinco de Mayo. Now, I'm not sure what I'm doing tomorrow night, assuming I'm still upright.
I hear what you're saying. Sounds like a good weekend. I want to get into this a little deeper. I had kind of been wanting to talk about what your last caller discussed, so I'm just going to get down to it. Georgia. January the 1st, Paul, of 2019, the Georgia Bulldogs will be in the Sugar Bowl. They're going to finish as SEC East champs. You can tell them to go on and book their rings. Maybe they'll get a discount. But I want to get into that Week 2 game that your caller just talked about. Kirby Smart's losing a lot of key players on his defense, I think 4 or 5. Also, that 9,000 combined yards or whatever it was for Sony and Chubb. And kind of what I'm wanting to get into, Paul. You got a new transfer coming into South Carolina. He's going to liven up the secondary. Deebo Samuels is definitely back. Bentley's been pretty good. Opening up with Austin Peay didn't really do you any favors. And then you're going into Week 2, probably going to be the most watched game in college football around the world that day in Williams-Brice Stadium. I don't know, Paul. Alabama did this one time with an early conference game against Ole Miss, and they got spanked, and they were supposed to be favored. And I think it happened again the year after. So I just want the Georgia Bulldogs to realize one thing, not to catch chickens before they hatch. But I do want to give a chance to Darryl. I'll give him a bet on the phone. The bet is after he loses to South Carolina, he can sing or read the Alabama fight song. I'll do the same for him. Paul, have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Good to hear from you. Nick is next.
Oh, Finebaum. Oh.
Yes, Nick.
Well, don't sound so depressed, Paul.
Well, are you happy about this call, Randy?
No.
Well, why you got to bring Randy and Hayes in, whoever?
John, you happy about hearing from Nick?
Hey, Nick, it was Randy the cameraman, it wasn't me. Mark's here today.
Well, I just heard him. Are you happy about the call, Randy? He said, no.
And to answer your question, Paul, not really.
Nick, listen, you've got to do something to make us more excited when you call.
Well, the only thing
maybe
Paul,
take some medicine.
No, I ain't on no meds or nothing, Paul. I ain't on medicine, so.
Well, no, Nick. I think we need to take. I mean, you're fired. You're the same old Nick. Can we start over again, Nick?
Sure.
Okay.
He's back on hold, Paul. Go ahead.
In honor of the golf today, I bought myself a mulligan walking in. Heading down toward the bottom of the hour here. Nick is next. Nick, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine, Paul.
Hey, Nick, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
It is so good to hear from you.
It sure is. I'm wondering if y'all was going to answer my call again ever.
I don't know when I've ever looked forward to a call more than this, Nick.
I know, Paul. I mean, you just called me back. I've been on that twice. Outstanding. Hey, Paul. Paul, I want to ask you something.
What did he say?
Let me ask you something, Paul.
Yeah, go right ahead, Nick. Whatever you want, Nick. It's your show, man.
Hey, I just want to comment on Daryl's call that I heard earlier today. You know, when he was bad-mouthing Alabama as usual. I think he's still delusional. But does he actually think Alabama's football team's going to just shut down this year coming up and not do nothing?
I don't know, Nick. What do you think?
I think Daryl's delusional, like you always told him. He's delusional.
He is delusional. You're right.
All right, Paul. And the other thing I wanted to ask you last week or a couple of weeks ago, and you said my calls were boring. And
no, your calls are great, Nick.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Randy, have you ever heard a better call than this?
I'm so excited I can't stand it.
Tell Randy. I like Randy and Browns. We're on there. I like Hayes and Kubiak. I love them to death. They're great.
That's okay. I've got hot takes.
Well, anyway, Paul, let me ask you just one question.
Okay.
And it's a football question, Paul.
Oh, well, then I'll struggle to answer it, but go ahead.
All right. Out of the 5, Alabama players that signed the free agency, undrafted free agencies, which one do you think will be the best out of the 5 or, be the best?
Okay, let's go over the 5. We have, is J.K. Scott one of the 5?
No, sir. Green Bay Packers signed him.
Oh, was he drafted or a free agent?
He was drafted, Paul.
Okay, so
he wasn't a free agent.
Okay, I'm sorry. I quit watching after the first day. I'll
give you the free agents, Paul. I got a list here. I'll give them to you if you don't
hit me with your best shot.
Well, J.C. Hassenauer, he got free agent deal with the Falcons. Okay. Tony Brown with the Chargers, free agent. Robert Foster with the Bills, free agent. Levi Wallace to the Bills.
Levi Wallace is the answer.
I agree with you, Paul. You got the right answer.
I like Levi Wallace.
Well, what about Cam Sims? He also went to the Redskins as a free agent.
Well, I like Levi Wallace.
Hey, Paul, we got to get to a break.
Hey, John and Mark. Where are you guys?
I'm sorry, what?
What? Are you guys, what?
Is Nick still on the phone?
Yeah, I'm still on there.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
I see you.
Break down Tony Brown signing with the Chargers, Nick. Paul, go to break.
Tony Brown with the Chargers. I like Tony Brown.
Hey, Nick. Let me say this to you in all sincerity. Thank you for calling the show.
Absolutely.
Well, you're welcome, Paul, and I enjoy calling.
I'm glad you do because this is where we're doing from now on. The caller, we don't exist anymore. By the way, we're showing for those listening on radio. This is a shot from Dreamland. Is this in Tuscaloosa? There's 2. There's one in Birmingham. I think this is Tuscaloosa. The Finebaum show's on at Dreamland.
Wow.
It's probably on everywhere right now, except this studio where all I see is golf. Welcome back as we continue. Busy day. Really, enjoyed the conversations with Keith Mitchell and Jason Dufner. As we mentioned, the PGA Tour event going on down the street, so it wasn't too difficult to get some folks over here. But I am really glad we did. Andy Staples now joining us, of course, from Sports Illustrated to talk about many, many things. No telling on a weekend like this with the Derby tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo. I'm sure Andy Staples is really focused in on college football right now.
I'm at the pool, Paul. I'm serious. So I got home. I was in Phoenix because, all the different conferences meet out there.
Right.
I got home this morning off a red eye, and I'm informed by my wife, this is after I talked to your producer, John, that, hey, you're taking the kids to the pool after school. So here I am.
Well, that's fine. We can talk about volleyball. There's beach volleyball going on. There's a lot of...
We can. There's beach volleyball. I mean, there's a lot of... There's kind of a belly flop contest going on right now. I don't know if you just heard that. Can openers,
so how old are your kids?
Screwdrivers are what you drink. Mine are 8 and 7. So,
okay.
And there's a bunch of other ones about the same age. So you'll hear screaming, and somebody found a black snake. It's a bit of a big adventure today.
Do they know? I don't mean. I know that they know you, but do they know who their father is?
They just know I'm the idiot who leaves for 2 or 3 days at a time and then comes home and has to watch football all day.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure they were aware of the reach of Andy Staples.
They know I like to reach for ribs often and pulled pork and occasionally brisket if I'm in Texas.
Andy, considering I doubt your bosses are listening right now up north, but when you go to these meetings, you're not just some lunch bucket guy like I used to be at a local newspaper. I mean, you work for Sports
Right.
Illustrated. What do you do, and what do you gain from going to all these highfalutin meetings at these 5-star resorts?
Well, it kind of depends on the year. Because when realignment was going on, it was a lot of,
that was exciting.
You find somebody, you find an AD or a coach, and they'll have questions for you, and you'll have questions for them, and you kind of duck off into a corner and whisper, and it's very, there's a lot of intrigue. But now with all these things settled, playoffs settled, realignment settled for now, it's more for me just looking at big picture type stuff. I'll talk to a coach if I'd like to do a big feature on one of his players down the road. I'll say, hey, here's what I'm thinking about. Is this something you guys would be down for? Because it requires a little more access than the usual story. And, we'll kind of broker that sort of thing. I'll get some ideas for later in the year. Most of the stuff I'll write over the summer comes from ideas that I get either at that Phoenix meeting or Amelia Island where the ACC meets or in Destin with the SEC.
Because, maybe I'm missing something being swimming in these waters every day, but this doesn't seem like there are today that many critical issues in college football. I realize the basketball commission. I realize down the road there are a lot of things going on, but what would you say is the biggest issue facing the sport right now?
There's really not a whole bunch. What's interesting is some of this basketball stuff is going to bleed over into football. We talked to Larry Scott from the Pac-12 yesterday about the idea of guys coming. Let's say one and done is eliminated, which it's possible the NBA may do that in the next couple of years, and then guys can go into the draft at a high school. But if they don't get drafted, maybe they can come play college ball. Or if guys leave college, go through the draft but don't hire an agent, and go all the way through the draft in basketball and don't get drafted, maybe they can come back. Well, if you can do that in basketball, shouldn't there be a way to do something like that in football? Maybe not have them go all the way through the draft, but at least let them go through the combine, because that's where they're going to get some real unvarnished opinions from NFL coaches who may be telling them, hey, listen, I don't care what your dude from back home saying or that agent who's whispering in your ear, you're not a first-round pick. You need to go back to school. You could improve your status by 3 rounds if you play well next year. That's the sort of thing that a player's going to listen to. So I would like to know if there's a way to do that. And I know Nick Saban talks about that when Brett Bielema was at Arkansas. He talked about that. I think there's a way to figure that out. And I think it would be helpful to those players. It'd certainly be helpful to the college teams getting experienced guys back. And then the NFL, it's kind of a no net effect because they don't care. They're just going to pick the guys who can play anyway.
Andy, you mentioned I think it was 7 or 8 years ago when expansion happened. That's one of the biggest stories I can remember. And we get a couple of questions every week on this program about expansion. Look ahead, because right now it seems fairly docile. When is that next moment when we could see this, and what's your best guess on what will happen then?
It's when TV contracts start coming due or coming up for renewal. And the first set of those, you've got the Big Ten, which did a 6-year deal last year. So around 2023 is when that'll start heating up. I believe the Pac-12 goes through 2024. The Big 12 goes through the 2024-25 academic year. So probably about 2022, 2023, you're going to see people kind of jostling for position and trying to figure out what they're doing. The thing now is that makes it impossible to predict is we don't know what's going to drive it. What drove it last time was cable television, territorial acquisition. Can you get territory that you don't already have? You know, your network that you are on right now exists and is viable and is very profitable because the SEC added a school in Texas and a school in Missouri. It added, 12 million cable subscribers to the footprint, and that really helped. But that won't be driving it next time because peak cable is over. People are cutting the cord. Is it going to be Amazon that wants to buy all these rights next time? Is it going to be ESPN? Is it going to be Facebook? We have no idea, and that's what makes it so hard to predict.
Do you see conferences shrinking? And I ask you that because the Big 12 is always the one people wonder about. It's the only one of the major 5 that doesn't have a television contract.
It's funny, we made fun of the Big 12 so much because they only had 10 schools. We made fun of them because it looked like everybody's going to leave them in the dust with their fancy conference networks. The Big 12 has come out of this smelling like a rose financially. They make just as much money as the ACC. They make more than the Pac-12. The Big Ten and the SEC are always going to make more just because those fan bases are just deeper, invested, more passionate, just care more. It just means more thing. I know people make fun of it, but it's true. So, and it's also true of the Big Ten. But the Big 12 has a nice model going. They only have to split the money 10 ways, and they're making a lot of it. So, I don't think a bunch of 16-team conferences is going to happen at this point. Because logistically, I just don't see how it works. 14's unwieldy enough. 15 with the ACC when Notre Dame's playing the other sports seems pretty unwieldy. I would, if you did that, I think you should almost break it into 8-team leagues. And maybe, you can have a championship game between the 2 champions of each division, but don't have them play each other during the year. Just make them into their own leagues, because I think having smaller leagues where everybody plays each other, I think that helps with rivalries. I think that just makes it more intense. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you would shrink it now, because it's not like Mississippi State or Vanderbilt or Wake Forest is going to say, well, I know we're not worth as much to the league as everybody else, so we'll just go somewhere else.
Always interesting. Andy, we kept you here for about 10 minutes. We didn't hear any kids splashing. We didn't hear anything going on, so we will let you get back to...
But there's a Frisbee out, Paul. I need to get in on this.
The kiddie pool. Andy, thank you, as always.
Thanks, Paul.
Great stuff. Now, that's a good father. Okay, we are back. I think we have Matt. Matt, are you back? We lost you a minute ago.
My Sports Illustrated cell phone. Okay, here's the deal. Uncle Lou is my partner, and we'll do best score per hole.
Okay. Hey, but so
I wouldn't get on GHIN.com and check out my handicap, Mark and Randy.
So I mean, what is your handicap?
I can't say, Paul.
I mean, I can look it up if I knew your last name. Actually, I do know your last name.
Well, I'm a 4 now. I used to be a scratch. I mean, my team shot 17 under in a 4-ball yesterday deal.
So on you're playing pretty good tracks here to get this handicap?
Yeah, I mean, I play a little bit better than Alabama dirt tracks. Yeah, we're in Georgia, but I mean, I don't play as near as much as I used to, but I probably shoot 75, 76.
No, I mean that's
Good day.
listen. Scratch to a 4 is pretty amazing golf for a guy that works as hard as you do every day.
I bet you, Mark and what's Mark shoot? I bet you he shoots real good.
Mark and John,
Looks
could
like
you
a
handle a
golfer.
4 handicap guy?
No, I'm getting strokes off of that.
Yeah.
Probably about 3 aside.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Probably getting more.
I would make the bet if Larry could make it through the round without passing out. I mean, that'd be the real bet.
Okay. Let's come up with some prop. Forget. I mean, nobody cares who is a better golfer, but we do care about. I mean, the prop bets though would be hilarious. Okay, one of your bets would be: would Larry get through the round?
I bet you he could. If he can drink 18 beers and call you at 5:30, he can get through the round.
Yeah, but can you get through the round without him punching you out?
I can't promise that.
I mean, he does like to scrap. You know.
Yeah, I know. I'd have to get one of those like Joel Embiid masks, to play golf.
Yeah, I mean, most golfers prefer to, like on the 17th hole, to shape their ball right or left, as opposed to like duke it out with a 75-year-old guy.
Yeah, if we're playing golf in Atlanta, I mean, I don't know. Larry, you can't wear jeans in most Atlanta golf courses. So, I mean,
you think Larry would fit in at East Lake?
Larry would fit in at East Lake like I would fit in at an Alabama gas station.
So, you got to give the boy credit. He's got the retorts today.
Yeah. So, I just love the guy who called in earlier and said, "Well, I'm from Destin, Florida, and Saban and Georgia's or Alabama's 4-0."
Hey, by the way, I just looked down. I saw Joe from Red Bay on hold. Anything you want to say to him?
Not really.
Anything you'd like to say to him before?
Could you take his IQ and Squirrel Nut's IQ and make it? Would that be greater than Alabama's win total last year? I don't know.
Hold on a second, Matt, because Joe's a friend. Go ahead, Joe.
Matt, I got news for you.
Stories. No
we don't want you in our gas stations. We don't want you using our restaurant.
You don't have to worry about
and
that.
I wouldn't go to Georgia to take a leak. And I don't want to hear about your Alabama hating stories either. And Larry would take your ass any day of the year, any day. And you're nothing.
You know why Alabama's an hour behind, don't you? Because Alabama's an hour behind.
I'd like to know.
This guy's on a roll right now. You got to give Matt credit. He's had one of the better comebacks I've ever seen on this show.
Guess what, Matt? Roll Tide roll, and Georgia is never going to beat Alabama. You're hating. You can crack all the jokes you want because that just means we're whooping your butts, and you're just nothing but a you.
If they shut down Alabama football in Talladega, I don't know. Y'all have to fish.
The chicken scraps after Jim from Tuscaloosa smooches them.
The last time I went to Tuscaloosa, y'all lost. So I remember that real well. I know that was 11 years ago, but last time we went to Tuscaloosa, there was a lot of sad rednecks. Y'all thought Saban was a Yankee that day. So,
well, how many years has it been now that we've been beating y'all's butt year after year? Every time we
beat
play,
our butt by 3 points.
You're close, but no cigar.
Y'all really wore us out in the national championship. All 3 points, right? Overtime, right? I mean, y'all just wore us out. I mean, you had to put a freshman in to beat us.
Okay, Matt, this is not fair because Joe went down pretty hard. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
you ever watch WWE where you throw somebody out of the ring and then their partner, and the Rumble?
You being a native Tennessean, did you see where Kane from WWE?
I did.
Is now
He's the new mayor of Knoxville. I couldn't be prouder.
Is he really?
Hey, by the way, Matt, someone else wants to say hello to you from Alabama.
Oh gosh.
Legend.
Woo! Legend.
Woo! Talking to a Rolex now, Mac. Talking to my nose football, dude. I like Joe from Red Bay.
Legend.
You want to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, the Buffalo Bills of college football, like you accomplished something, dude. I knew I was going to beat you the whole game. You the Buffalo Bills of college football.
Beat you the whole game?
Lose is what you do, dude.
Y'all should have just bought tickets for overtime, right? Y'all didn't have to
That's got
watch
some
the
good
first
stuff
You bet that time better not run out on
You
that
sound like
payphone.
Beavis and Butthead, dude. Make a point. This is a conversation. Make a point, dude. Make a point.
I'm just too busy. Make a point. I made a point. There's a reason y'all are an hour behind in Alabama. Because you're an hour behind. That's my point. That's a pretty good point.
Yeah, like you got
And if you
something
got rid of
going on
Alabama
in Georgia,
football, if
dude,
you got
with the
rid of Alabama
Hawks and the
football in
Braves
Talladega,
and the
y'all-
Falcons, dude. You've been having a professional team for 50 years, and you got one championship. The state of Massachusetts got about 100 during those same period. You talk about like Atlanta so much better than Alabama and Birmingham, dude. You don't even have a professional sport team when it gets right
Birmingham's
down to
not
it.
even bigger than Birmingham's not even bigger than Buford, Georgia. Come on now. I mean, seriously. I mean,
Birmingham's
you
pretty
probably
big.
don't
Come
even
on,
know where
legend. They got an
Buford is.
airport. I mean,
Hey, we
Matt-
got an airport, dude. We got an airport. Hey, and there ain't nothing wrong with the Magic City. Everything that Georgia has ever done is because they copied it from the state of Alabama. I mean, the SEC championship, they got that from the state of Alabama. You got to get Julio and Calvin Ridley to actually have a receiving core in Atlanta.
Well,
I don't
it's
want to talk
funny,
about the
you know,
Hawks, dude. That's
it's
a
funny,
CBA
it's funny.
team that you got
You bring
going
up
on over
you bring
in
up a
Atlanta.
great point there.
I mean,
Hey, hold on, Legend. Let's hear Matt. Legend, let's listen to Matt here, okay?
You want to come out here? Can I make a point here?
Go right ahead.
The New England Patriots have about how many University of Georgia players and how many Super Bowls have they won? My Atlanta Falcons keep drafting Alabama players, and we blew the biggest lead in history.
At the University of Alabama that headed up their defense, dude. I mean, every pro player you put in the NFL, I don't see AJ.
Hey, why don't Legend? I don't really want to do. This is not NFL Live here. Let's keep this to college football, okay?
Yeah. When's the last time y'all had a quarterback besides Joe Namath go to the NFL?
Hey, that's a valid point. That's a valid point. But we just turn them into radio broadcasters, dude. That's all we do at the University of Alabama. At least they got a career beyond football. At least they got a career beyond football. That's more than you can say for your pro
quarterback.
quarterback.
Herschel done awful, right? Yeah,
Yeah, so you got Matthew Stafford, and who else, dude? Who else you got in the NFL you bragging about at quarterback? And he's garbage.
Yeah, he's pretty
the
good,
most
right? He got
high-paid
$70
garbage
million.
quarterback in the NFL. Ain't never won more than 8 games in his whole career. And a single season.
He went to the playoffs.
Yeah,
Hey guys, Legend and Matt, we got to wrap up. But why don't we spend the last minute talking about what's going to happen this year?
Yeah, we're going to kick
what's
your
gonna
ass,
happen
Matt,
this year?
again, because you're the Bills of college football.
I just hope y'all make it to the SEC championship, Legend, because I really don't think y'all are going to.
I hope you deal with that big schedule that you got this year. I'm sure it's going to be difficult for you to get there.
We'll still be there.
Yeah.
We could go 10-2 and be in the SEC championship. Y'all can't. Y'all are going to lose to Auburn again. I have a feeling.
Hey, Legend, Alabama Legend, Alabama Skate.
Who got the ring?
Hey, Legend.
Hey,
Hey, Legend. He made a good point. Alabama's schedule is not exactly NFL quality.
Hey, I don't care. As long as we get to Georgia and kick their ass again and raise that trophy, it's all about the ring.
You didn't kick
at the
anything,
University of
that's the
Alabama.
point.
That's
You
what
didn't
it's
kick
about.
anything.
And all about Georgia is watching us celebrate on the opposite sideline. That's the only thing Georgia can celebrate.
Okay, we're up against break. Legend, thank you for the call. Matt, thank you. You both were good sports. We actually had a civil conversation.
Set the golf tournament up.
We'll debate this when we come back. Back with more.
All right.